All right. So, ladies, thank y'all for joining me on the Boss Women Network Roundtable discussion. I am Leilani. Today, we're going to talk about who you are, what you ladies do, and then go into a discussion about business and how challenges you may have faced and different topics. Boss Women Network is a podcast I created to kind of help women by watching the podcast interviews, the roundtable discussions, so they can kind of see everything that we've all been through our stories and kind of help them along the way on their journeys as well. So let's get started. So who wants to go first and talk about who they are, what's the name of their business, and what they do?
All right, my name is Danielle Jones, and I am the creator of Girl Get Your Purpose. And so that was actually a pivot from when I first started on my journey of I had a shirt business called Oh Girl Read My Shirt. And so I felt like that was something I had to close out. And I felt like God was putting me on a different journey to where mostly I'm helping women understand that they have purpose in life and not to be ashamed to tell your story because your story is needed and we all have a reason to be here. So that is what I feel like God is leading me to be, helping women on their God-given purpose journey and helping them tell their stories.
I love that. Matter of fact, I just saw something that you sent in your email. You said from Ratchet to what was it? From
Redeem with
Ratchet to
Jesus.
Redeem. I just started laughing. I was like, oh
Yes.
my goodness, that's a story
Yes.
to tell. Um,
It's a story to tell.
okay, Dr. Flo.
Lovely to meet you finally,
Yeah,
Miss
same.
Monroe,
Yeah.
finally. And such an honor to be here with Miss Jones as well. So
Oh, you too.
I'm Dr. Flo, Florence Ene, and I'm joining from the future, as I like to say. So good morning from Tokyo,
Oh,
Japan.
yeah.
It's
Tokyo, isn't
5 a.m.
that so cool?
Yeah,
Wow. 5 a.m.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, it's 5 a.m. kind of. Yeah. So I coach, I teach, I facilitate transformation using what I call the strategic thriving framework. And it's something that came out of my personal lived experience, having to rebuild my life, having to go through raising a family on my own as a Black woman out here in Tokyo, among so many other things. And so looking back, I support women who are or who have survived what I call toxic life experiences. So
Mm.
to move from surviving and striving and struggling to thriving using strategy, because as you know, our lives are different, our situations, our personalities are different, and so it's what thriving looks like is different for each of us. And so what I do is just hone in on where she is and where she wants to go and work with her to do that and to get there. And it's all based on um, creating joy and literally finding your own joy and reframing whatever you've been through, whatever it is that we've survived, and then creating a life of ease, of purpose that is aligned, and basically embracing ease and working whatever your work is from a place of rest, doing your work or your calling from a place of rest. And I'm so thrilled and honored to be part of this conversation today.
Wow. So I guess since you're just speaking, how did you end up in Tokyo and what were some of the challenges that you faced?
Right, I get that question all the time. So I'm originally from West Africa, Nigeria, and I came here almost 2 decades ago. I can't even believe it myself.
Wow.
I came to grad school on I was feel very fortunate to have had that opportunity, which is also why I do what I do to support my sisters, because I stand on the shoulders and on the backs of so many women from my home country here in Japan and around the world. And so that's how I came. I came almost 2 decades ago, came to graduate school and transitioned through different shades and nuances of my career as a medical doctor and as a cancer researcher to what I do now.
Oh,
And yes, so I came for cancer research and have transitioned through so many phases and stages to what I do now.
Mm.
wow. So what are some of the challenges that you faced? And I mean, what made you go into the career field that you're in now? Is it something that traumatizing that you went through that made you want to go into that field to where you want to help other women?
Um, it's a lot of things. So currently what I do is I do a couple of things. So I teach at a medical school here in Tokyo, as well as what I do here. And so I bring in this entire process, having had to rebuild my life um,
Mhm.
after arriving here in Japan. Uh, Within a year, I become a single mom. I had two kids under 5, 4, in fact, two babies literally to
Wow.
raise while at school. And, the whole transition, if you've been to Japan, there isn't much of English, especially where I was. So it was a lot of challenge and navigating, going through a rigorous graduate school program without my usual support. So I'm far away from family and didn't speak the language. I'm obviously different. And I was the first and only, as we are all familiar with, first and only in many ways in my department, in the building, in just for many reasons. And it wasn't always a comfortable experience because I came from Africa where everybody looks like me.
Mm.
So that was a huge challenge from the beginning. And then having to navigate that with personal challenges
Mm.
and to from there to where I am now, looking back to all that I do, I run my own medical consulting company. I'm faculty at a medical university. I now have young adult children. That didn't just happen. There was a lot that went into it. And looking back, I've been able to, excuse me, retrace my steps and help use that experience and looking at what I've done to support my students, to support friends, and to support the women that God brings my way to do this.
That's great. That is a
Thank
really
you.
all right. Before we go over to Miss Danielle, one other question. Was there a time that you almost wanted to give up? And if it was, how did you push through?
Absolutely. So again, back while I was a student, when it looked like I wouldn't be able to cope with the situation. I was actually asked to withdraw from the graduate school program
Wow.
because I was in a Japanese government scholarship, and my circumstances. It wasn't about my performance. It was that my personal situation had become almost unlivable
Oh,
and it just didn't look like this would work. And I'm being funded, my research and everything was being funded. So I was asked, wasn't thrown out, but I was asked to respectfully withdraw. And I could have, because what's the point? But I'm so blessed and fortunate. I found a mentor. So getting here, just realizing I couldn't do this on my own somehow. Holy Spirit, God helped me. I found a mentor outside of Japan, based in the United States, somehow from a website for women of color in STEM and got connected with someone. I've never met him in real life in person, but this is going on almost 2 decades and he's still my mentor.
wow.
He's been
Mm.
with me through so many transitions. And it's something I really push and encourage women in every aspect of life to get support, to find a mentor. And you don't have to be in the same room or in the same space or even the same country with this person. If you
Wow.
find someone who is genuine and resonates and connects and is really supportive, it does make a lot of difference. And so working with a mentor, um, I was going to quit, and he told me, he said, "Look, we need you in this program. We need you to stay. Let's find a way to do this, you know." And every time I have the opportunity to share my story, I always have to thank so many women in Japan, Japanese women who stood up and supported me and supported my sons. They went beyond the call of their duty, whatever their duty was, to support me. And so, with that support and the support of my mentor, without going into too much detail, I was able to stay in and complete the program. And I say that to say, um, in dealing with a setback, it's not a setback, isn't really a stop sign. It's probably calling you to pause, you know,
Mm.
re-strategize, recalibrate, and just, look for it. What's the message in here? What can I do differently? What's my goal? Do I really want to continue this program? Is God telling me not to, or is this an a challenge that I can overcome? And using that framework has helped me grow through the experiences. And looking back, I'm so grateful. I learned to mentor from my mentor. What
Wow.
I do today is the things he's done for me over the years. And a big thing, I've talked so much already, but the big thing that he did for me was connecting me with other Black women, women who look like me in
Mm.
the US. And so that has not just in the US mainly, but then around the world. And being out here alone, it has made all the difference. It's made all the difference. So I'm really honored to have had that journey.
Wow, that is amazing story. That's a blessing.
Thank you.
So, Miss Danielle, tell us your story. You said you went from Ratchet to Redeemed. Is that
Yes,
the word?
purchase to redeem with Jesus.
Yes. What does that mean? Tell us about you.
So that means for me is I lived a life that was pretty out there. I had to get it how I lived. Like, I had to pretty much raise myself and do things that, that at that time I didn't realize how what's the word? That how ashamed I was of the things I had to do. And so these were things that I felt like I needed to take to the grave with me, because if people found out, they'd be like, oh my gosh, like you did that, or you made that decision, or I didn't know that you would get down like that. So those things I buried with me for a long time. So I was, I was just out there in life and trying to figure out things on my own, because at a point in my life, my mom and dad split up and my dad wasn't around. My mother, she kind of just started doing her own thing and started being my friend. So I was just out there living life, however you would see. When I say living life, I was out there, whether it was with men or, stealing or, being deceitful, being dishonest, lying my way, not taking accountability for my actions, and just, you can't tell me what to do because I'm gonna do me. And if you don't like it, you better get out of my way type of life. That's the life that I was living. And so it really took for me to hit rock bottom and be like, about to lose everything, for me to have to turn my life around and be like, I can't continue to live like this anymore. I'm going to lose everything that he has given me. So that's what I mean by ratchet to redeem. So when I take that word ratchet, it's like, even though I still have a little bit of, inside of me, I use it for his glory. I use it to advance the kingdom of heaven, and using it for Jesus' glory, because I understand over time, because when I got saved, I used to think, oh, you have to be prim, you have to be proper, you have to be straight, you can't do this, you can't do that. But I have a personality, and he had to help me understand that I have a personality, and the stuff that I've been through, the stuff I put myself through, the decisions I made, those are the things that are going to bring people to Jesus by
Right.
being the person he created me to be. So that's what I mean, ratchet to redeem with Jesus.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I know a lot of women could relate to that. There's a lot of young ladies out there right now that's going through those phases and may feel the same way, but not even understanding that they can come out of it. When
Mm,
you're young, you were going through things, we don't, like you say, you didn't have your parents at the time, so you didn't get what you needed from them. And because they probably was going through something themselves. I kind of went through something similar with my parents separating. a little bit early too. So I didn't go through the ratchet phase, but I did become a teen pregnant, a mom early,
Right.
So it does affect you when your parents leave you, they doing their own thing, but they were also going through their own life challenges. So I used to hold that against them until I got older and realized life is hard.
Yeah.
And
Oof.
so to understand that they were just dealing with their own challenges themselves, so I didn't hold it against them anymore once I saw how expensive bills were and how hard it was to be a mom and a parent and how hard it is to try to do things and you can't do things because now you're a mom. So I definitely understand what you're going through. And then to still go to school and go to college and then come through it. So
Yes, and I was the first one in my family to graduate from college, and I have a really big family. So that within itself was a challenge because I didn't think that I was going to even make it and graduate. Because literally in my senior year in college, I had a balance, and so I sent out letters to everyone in my family to show them my balance. Like, hey, you don't have to send the money to me; you can send it directly to the school. Like, and not when I say no one came through, not one person came through, and I never forget. I got on my knees and I was crying so hard. And I said, Lord, what am I going to do? I made it all to my senior year. I want to graduate. All he said was go to the chancellor's office. He didn't say nothing else. He just said go to the chancellor's office. Went to the chancellor's office, told them my story. They gave me a loan so I can register for classes. Then, after I got the loan, somehow my financial aid for my housing got messed up and they gave me all of my money. They gave me all my money. So my housing ended up being free and they gave me this big old check. So I was able to
wow.
pay the school back. And then I had money to sustain me until I graduated from college. So I
Wow.
knew that that was God, nothing but God, but let me know that I had to stop trying to seek Him last instead of I need to be seeking Him first and
All
stop
right.
trying to lean on people or figure it out on my own, then go to Him when I make a mess. So that was a really big thing in itself to be able to make it that far, and then he got me over that part as well.
I love that story. So how did you start get your purpose?
So I started, well, first it started with, it was Old Girl Read My Shirt. And so I had like a little shirt company where I make like little sassy sayings and stuff like that. And it really wasn't going well. I was pouring more money into it than what was coming out. And then I think I was in my head as well. And I don't think that was for me. And so I was like buying all of these, classes and you see stuff on the internet like, oh, you do this, you do that, you're going to make all this money. And it was very frustrating because I wasn't making any money. So I'm like, I prayed and I said, I don't know if this is the road I'm supposed to be going down. And then that's birth, girl, get your purpose. And I'm like, I have so much to say, so many testimonies, so many stories, so many things I know that can help other women in the shoes that I am in, to be able to be unashamed to tell their story because your testimony is somebody else's survival guide. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, I can provide those steps, those biblical tools, the scriptures, the things that have helped me become unashamed and tell my story. So that's how Girl Get Your Purpose birthed out of Oh Girl Read My Shirt.
Do you have a podcast?
I don't, and it's so funny you said that because I believe that he is leading me to start that because I keep seeing pictures of YouTube like in my dreams and like when I'm just walking around, I keep seeing YouTube all the time surrounding me, and I'm like, I think that is where he is leading me to go
Yeah.
is to start that.
Because when I hear the name, I hear a podcast. Like it
Oh,
just
so that means that was confirmation.
yeah, it sounds like a podcast. Like that would be a great podcast to tell women to get your purpose because it's a lot of women that they're going through those phases right now as we speak. As you see what's going on in society and how women are being portrayed, and some of the women feel like they
Mhm.
have to do certain things to succeed, and they really don't, just putting God first.
No. And
It
if I can help another girl, especially even younger girls, like I did it so you don't have to do it. I already put my hand on the fire. It's hot. You don't have to touch it. Like I'm telling you. And then if you already did it, don't be ashamed. I promise you, you go to God, ask for repentance, ask for forgiveness, and forgive yourself. And
yeah.
then I believe that when you tell your story and you tell the truth, nobody can hold nothing against you. They can't hold nothing against you. So don't be ashamed of what you did. Just forgive yourself, ask for forgiveness, and keep it pushing. But Miss Leilani, I thank you for that confirmation because I promise you that has been swirling around for me for a minute. And I ain't gonna lie, I've been putting it off because I'm like, are you sure that's what you want me to do? And here you are giving confirmation.
Hey, that's how it is. That's how it happens. When God tell me to say something, I say it. So it's on my heart to say it. I'm gonna say it. So what are some of the challenges? Like what is your biggest lesson that you've learned from failure?
Ooh, first, the biggest lesson I wouldn't even, it would have to be understanding that it's not failure. A lot
Okay.
of times we think when something don't go our way or it didn't, that door closed or, something fell by the wayside, whatever, we think that it's failure, but it's really not. We have to understand that Yahweh is the author. He's the beginning and the end. He knows everything. He is omnipresent. He knows everything. So we have to come into realizing that if that door was closed or that didn't go the way we thought it was supposed to go, that means he got something better planned. So that in itself, for me, I have to understand that if it didn't go my way, I have to keep reminding myself it's not failure. It's something else better coming, and I just have to be patient and understand what's the next move, or just wait for him to let me know what's the next thing I need to do.
Makes so much sense. Most definitely. So I guess we'll go back on over here to you, Dr. Flo. Um, so I have a question for you. The power of saying no and protecting your energy in business and life. How did you learn those qualities, or have you learned them yet?
I'll say thank you, Miss Monroe. I'll say I'm still learning
Me
that.
too.
I'm still learning. Um, what I have learned is that no is a protective word. And I think it's something I I don't have daughters, but I tell like we should teach our daughters, like this should be taught growing up to say no, and to honor when the answer is no on the inside, but there's pressure from the outside or the expectation, to be a lady, to be nice, to conform and just say yes. No, when there's a no on the inside, it's usually it's protection,
Mm,
and it's protecting our energy. Sometimes it's protecting our bodies. Sometimes it's protecting our minds. And even in this space of business and entrepreneurship and career, it's protecting our our purpose and the reason why we do, what we do. For example, um, an offer being given, an offer that may look like such a big break, or there's going to be a lot of money from it, but on the inside, it's a no. That's probably because God knows there's something at the end or behind of that offer that probably will not be, that might just not be in line with his will or with your purpose, or it might even be danger. And
mm,
so leaning into being able to say no and using no as a protective word, I think it's something, it's really important, and it's really vital to do. Because as women already, we do so much. We do too much, in
yes.
my opinion. And we're always multitasking. Mothers know this. You're sleeping, you're planning breakfast, lunch, dinner, homework, hospital appointments, pickup, like it's a never-ending loop. And so um I look at it as I get to say no for me, for myself, to conserve my energy, to preserve my sanity, sometimes, and just protect me. And another, in fact, probably the major benefit is how that helps us to eliminate stress and reduce our stress, saying no more, because we usually say yes. We want to help out a sister.
Yeah.
We want to support a mother, or a co-worker. but being able to say no, excuse me, because for whatever reason, it just feels like a no. It's a protective word, and it can help. It really can help to reduce our stress as women, as business women, and as boss women
Hmm.
as well.
Trusting your inner voice, basically, you're saying that no that's inside of you that's telling you no, but you want to say yes, but something in you is saying no. You're saying tell your girls and other women to trust that inner no, because usually that inner no means no. Something is going on. That's so true. What about you, Miss Danielle? How do you pivot in dealing with managing and protecting your energy when dealing with in business?
Mm. But protecting my energy with dealing with business, I would have to say for me, when I think about that is making sure I have, and I don't know if this is a bad thing or a good thing, but tunnel vision, because I know sometimes we can get so caught up in looking at what everybody else is doing, and then it'll get me down. It has gotten me down, has got me frustrated. Like, well, why aren't my views growing, or why aren't my people subscribing, or people following me, or whatever? And I see people with hundreds of thousands of followers, and they're not, in my opinion, they're not bringing anything to the table, but
Right.
I only got this many subscribers. So what is it about that I'm doing wrong? And so I have to understand that my journey is my journey. I need to stay in my lane, and I need to focus on seeking him first and then letting him guide me to where I need to go and stop worrying about what everybody else is doing. And so I realized that when I started doing that, my energy wasn't low and I wasn't getting sad or upset because I stopped focusing on the wrong things and started seeking him first and what he wanted me to do. Because I noticed that my energy I really would get frustrated and get upset and be like, I'm producing all this content, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Why does it seem like it's not connecting? But I was focused on the wrong thing. So that was the way I had to protect myself, was to make sure I stay in my lane.
I bet social media can be stressful, just watching
Mhm.
everything going on and you're trying to build your business and then you see other people doing business and then you're like, gosh, what am I doing wrong? I need to step up my marketing. I need to post more. I need to create more videos. And
Mhm.
and then I get into that zone too. Then I'll be like, goodness, I just need to pace myself and focus on what I'm doing because they're
Right.
what they're doing, I got to do what I'm doing and not try to worry about it. Just pace myself. So I get it. Um, so how did you know, Dr. Flo, when it was time for you to change directions? Because we may be in one business and just be stuck there doing this, thinking this is our calling. You say you started from one thing and then you transitioned to something else. How do you know when it's that time to go ahead and take a leap and do something else?
Before I answer that, I'd like to just go off on what Miss Jones just said about
Okay.
staying in your own lane. That resonates so much because, as you said, it's easy to see what everyone's doing and say, oh, I should do this, and this works for this person. Maybe if I do this, it'll work. And so that just resonated with me where I am now. So thank you. Um, to to the point or this question. I've sometimes, to be honest, I didn't really know that I needed to pivot. So, like I said, everything I'm doing now is from a place of, oh, this is where I am. How did I get here? To
Hmm.
help my sister. So looking back. So I didn't even know what that word meant now, how we use it. But looking back at my path and my journey, I think the first time I made a pivot or pivoted was for my kids. So I was in this um what do I say, high achieving research lab career sort of place, which for my peers and my colleagues, it was like the peak, like this is it. But it wasn't working. I had young kids, I was alone. My children needed me and I needed me. And it just wasn't um working for the kind of life I envisioned and I was looking to create for myself and for my family, for my children. And so again, with the guidance of my mentor, I'd already figured out early on in grad school that this career, this path wasn't for me. I hadn't made a mistake. God brought me here for a reason, but I didn't have to continue now that I've realized this wasn't going to work for me. And so what we did was hone in or just focus on what brought me pleasure, what could I do easily, um what what were my natural talents and the things that I could do for free and still get paid for it.
Mm.
And identified that and how I could bring my training as a doctor and my research experience and as a mother and as a Black woman out here and bring all of that together. And so the main focus of my whole professional career is English language. I speak English here in a country that English is not the main language. And then I have my background. So I offer services, something we call here medical English services. So everything I do in a professional capacity is around medical English.
Mm.
So writing, editing, which I also have my own consulting company that does that. And that's what I do at the university in the medical school as well. I manage that program as well. So I didn't know that I needed to pivot my circumstances and just like Miss Jones said, failure isn't, it's not really failure if you look at it in retrospect. It's like God saying, no, go this way. Let's turn around. Let's stop here. Let's take a detour here, that sort of
Mm.
thing. And
Mm.
so that's I think one of the major pivots that I did. And so that happened out of necessity. From where I am now, I, with the strategic thriving, it's being intentional, looking at what has worked in the past, looking at where God has brought us through, and being intentional about taking those kinds of decisions and bringing in more ease. So, seeing that I'm in this place and the fact that I speak English here is useful. How can I use this in more ways? How can I use this in a professional capacity? So, I did trainings and got mentors and that sort of thing. And what I find is as we take these steps, God opens the doors as we prepare, the opportunities show up
Excuse me, no
as
one.
we align with that intuition or that inner guidance, the leading of the Holy Spirit on the inside, these doors open, these opportunities show up, opportunities that we don't even know exist. And we are called into spaces that we get to show up with with the experiences that we may have thought something we thought was a failure, but was actually just preparing us for the next opportunity or the next open door. So that's pretty much been my journey in terms of shifting
Mm.
direction and pivoting in business and professional in my career.
So sometimes, because I know sometimes we are, something in us just makes us be like, you know what, it's time for me to just step out on faith and try something else. But in your case, God shifted you without you even trying to shift. He made you shift without you even having to make the effort. He had to do it for you. So that is a that's another way. So because I like to tell this because a lot of women don't know. Even I went through that. So I had to actually make the decision to make the shift. God didn't make the shift for me in my case. But yeah, so a lot of women don't know because a lot of us are wanting to become entrepreneurs. And some of us are sitting at home or sitting at our desk and like, I'm tired of this job and I know I need to do something else, but haven't take that, haven't taken that step or that leap of faith yet. But sometimes the job will force you out and you're not even trying to get out. They'll just lay you off or something like that. But sometimes it's just time to pivot and make that change on our own. If something is in us telling us to go ahead and go, it's time to go. And it's not a failure, it's a transition and something else better in store. So something was definitely better in store for you in your case. Um, Danielle, did you have another career before you got into this, or was this your main thing once you transitioned in life? This was what you were going to. I mean, I know you said your t-shirt, you had the brand, you switched the brand name, but were you involved in a different career before this?
I'm actually still in a different career. Actually, I do have a 9 to 5. And
Oh, okay.
so, I do still have a 9 to 5. So I'm actually, I work for the school district. So, and
Okay.
I actually love what I do. And it's so funny that you said that because I thought that I don't know if I'm supposed to be full-time entrepreneur or not. I really don't know if that, and I could be completely wrong. He hasn't shown it to me yet, but I really love what I do during the day.
Hmm.
And I feel like I can help girls in that way as well because I do get to work with young ladies and being able to bring them in that way and letting them know that you don't have to make the same mistakes I did or go down the same road that I did. So I feel like that's where I'm supposed to be as well. He has not shown me that I'm supposed to step away from that yet, but yeah, that I do have a 9 to 5.
You may not supposed to step away from it. You
You
may
might be
want
right
you to
because
do
I
both.
really do love what I do.
'Cause you love what you
I
do,
really,
so
I do.
that may not be what you're supposed you not may not supposed to leave, you know.
Mhm.
I'm definitely talking about the women that are depressed at their jobs, you know. Some of them
And I
are,
know that feeling because this is the very first job I've had that I truly enjoy. Every
yeah.
single job I've had before this job, I was very depressed, and that's why I was like, I was trying to find a way to get into entrepreneurship or whatever, like
Hmm.
whatever. I'm just doing all the things to try to get about these other jobs, and then he blessed me with this position, and I truly love what I do.
Oh, that's a blessing. That is truly a blessing to have to go to a 9 to 5 and love your job because
Yeah.
sometimes that's not always the case. Have to get a
Mm-mm.
where you do not like, and you have experienced that yourself. So,
Yes.
okay, so let's see. What is my next question? Networking. Um, how do you network in your field of businesses? I don't know who want to answer first. I won't even call on anybody, but how do you network and gain more clients in your business? Whoever. Dr. Flo? I guess I will.
Okay, thank you. I'm you've just shared so many things, but yes, back to this question. I in terms of networking, I I look at it as a as passive or not. Like there's, active networking, like going to showing up in networking events and reaching out on the internet, like LinkedIn and all that.
Mm.
But and that's great. But for me, what has really worked is things like this,
Oh, okay.
being in these sorts of spaces, personal connections, um, networking that comes out of being in a space. So going for an event or attending a webinar and somebody shares something that resonates and then connecting and going off of that connection is something that I see a lot of that here where I live among my friends and my colleagues here. But that's what networking looks like. And I think it's very important for us as women, whether we own our own businesses or we work a 9 to 5, or we are what's the word? Parallelpreneurs. Miss Lisa Nichols coined that term and identify with that. And I'm sure Miss Jones too. We have regular 9 to 5s and we do this. And it's such a gift to love both your 9 to 5 and what you do as your passion, as your
Yeah,
business and so
yes,
on.
definitely.
And so we need, in terms of support, because I'm really big on us women having support to succeed.
Yeah.
And I think networking does that for us. So having a business and having a job at the same time, striking that balance,
Yeah.
we're doing a lot of thinking and a lot of mental work. And so having people in that space or people that support is just so it's we need that. And for example, I'm looking at mentoring and having a mentor. To me, that's a benefit of networking, because what and I use this example all the time because it works for me. It worked for me. And I see it working over and over again for my friends
Mm,
and for other women here. Having that um, mentor or having someone who has been or is where you want to be.
mm.
And when I speak of mentoring, I'm talking about coaching as well.
Okay.
And all of that. I mean, I should say I'm using the term loosely. So a mentor, but also having a coach or a life coach or mm, just someone who can be supportive in that area. And so looking at networking as not always what can I get from this person, but something, how can what this person does and what I do support or add value to our community or to this space, women or young girls or
Right.
whatever it is. So it's not just what can I get from this person, but what do we both bring that could add value? And you'll be amazed what comes out of those sort of relationships. But I think networking is so important. And I would like to also add for our sisters, whatever your um, focus or career or business is, to not be afraid to ask for a mentor or to ask for help. So we're not going to just say, be my mentor. But if they're doing something, someone's doing this, that I'd really like to know, DM her, reach out. I teach my students to do something we call an informational interview, not asking for anything, just what's it like? What's a day in your life like on this job or in this business you run ahead? Like, what's it like? I would love to do that
Mm,
and not be afraid of no. If someone says no, just move on.
okay.
Um, Again, not rejection, it's redirect. That probably doesn't have what God knows you need. And that's
Yours is breaking up a little bit. Oh no, that was some good information. You're breaking up, Dr. Flo.
sorry, I'm not sure what's happening. Can you hear me?
I can hear
Am
you
I
now. You're back.
okay? I'm sorry, I'm not sure what's happening
What
with
was the last
network.
thing you said? You said something about you were saying something about the mentorship, and it's great too. If they say no, um,
Right. Thank you. I was saying that not if we shouldn't be afraid as women, in whatever space we're in, to ask for help or ask for support. And if someone says no, it's not a rejection. I believe it's God's way of redirecting you, redirecting me, that this person doesn't have what we need at
mm,
this point. They don't have it to give. It's not personal, even if it is, it's not personal. Not to take
right.
it personally and just look for someone else. Go to someone else, or not stop because, oh, this person said no and it's rejection and woe is me. No.
Mm.
To keep, keep at it until you get what you want, until you get what you know that you need.
I love that. So, do you recommend reaching out and offer to pay for assistance, or you're saying reach out and see how y'all can assist each other? How can I help you? How can we help each other when asking for mentorship, or is this something that you're paying for reaching out to people?
Right. I think it depends and it's different in different situations. So, and the platform as well. And so I really believe as women, we should get paid for our services. We do a lot of free everything, free
Right.
labor and free
Mhm.
work. And so we do get paid. And I think there's also a space for that initial connection that we don't, might not always have to be paid for, especially if it's a mutual connection. That's why I suggest, especially for women starting out in business who aren't making that bag yet, who aren't making that much of money. And so I think I mentioned something called informational interviews,
Mhm.
where you just want to find out. Miss Monroe has this amazing, podcast. How does she do that? And when I say interview, it doesn't always have to be like on Zoom. You could send a DM or an email. I usually tell the women I work with to send an email,
Mm.
um, and give it time, but it should be genuine. You're not looking for a free service. You
Right.
just want to find out one, two, three. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. These are the challenges I have. And I notice one, two, three, you're doing this and you're doing this. Could you answer? Could you explain? And I know us women, somebody reading that sort of email is going to be, okay. They could reply. They could say, you know what, let's hop on a Zoom call and let's talk about this. And I'm sure you've probably done this at some point,
Mhm.
you know. And sometimes these sorts of connections do lead to paid services down the road. And you have this 10-15 minute call, and she's like, wow, where else can I connect with you? Okay, you have a course. I don't, but you have an e-course. I'll take your course. And these sorts of organic, I call them authentic, heartfelt connections lead to um, loyal clients
Mhm.
over the long term. You put out something they want it to be in on whatever it is, a seminar, a workshop, or something. And that's because the original connection was so authentic and added value, and they get to bring something as well. Um, I'm not sure if I answered the
That was a great,
question.
that was
Yeah.
definitely a great answer because networking can be challenging, especially if you're an introvert like me. I better with one-on-one connections versus being out there going to all these different events. Also, although lately I've been forcing myself to get out of my comfort zone, to get out there and start connecting and meeting and doing all those things. But it seems as though those are mainly for my own self-esteem and my own growth as far as getting out there, just talking to people, but I don't really connect when it's just a bunch of people. It seems as though I connect better when I reach out to somebody and we have a one-on-one conversation and it's not about a big event or anything like that. So I like that what you're saying. That seems to be a better way of connecting. I would definitely advise that for networking, especially if you're an introvert or if you want to really connect with somebody. It seems like that's the best way to really connect with one-on-one. What about you, Danielle? Um, what is your way of networking?
To be quite honest, I haven't stepped out and just been to any events on my own. I'm like you, I'm an introvert as well. So being in big crowds has been very intimidating. But it's so funny because the job that I have now, I have no choice but to be out there because I have to be at all these different events. So I have to put myself out there. And I found as I've been putting myself out there in my work events that I've been able to network that way. When I start talking to somebody and then we just start talking about life, I'm like, oh, this is what I got going on, or this is, my passion or my purpose. And I've been able to connect with people that way. But yeah, I truly understand how it is to be like, oh, all these people around and like, oh,
Yeah.
you don't want to be judged or looked at a certain kind of way. So it's like it's almost been like a safe space where I've been able to use my job to be able to network. So I haven't been able to just put myself out there and find something and be like, oh, let me go to this or this networking event or that networking event or anything like that. And then on top of that, I'm in a season in my life where I feel like um, I need to start building connections and giving more before anything comes my way,
Right.
because I feel like I was a person who was so selfish and I'll give everything to me and never giving back. So I feel like I'm in a season where I need to be planting good seed and good soil and giving and that way before anything comes back my way. Not saying I'm looking at like I'm looking for something to come my way, but I feel like I've been selfish for so long, so now it's time for me to free my hands up and give the way God wants me to give.
I love that. All right. So, looks like we're running out of time here. So before we get out of here, if each of you could tell us one more time exactly what you do and how can people get in contact with you if they would like to use your services? I guess Dr. Flo first.
Thank you. So I support women to move beyond surviving, beyond solving problems and overcoming challenges to thriving. And I do that at Dr. Flo's Place. You can connect with me on my website, drflosplace.org. I offer personal support strategy sessions for using the strategic thriving framework. I also host seminars and workshops which are custom for the audience or for the particular event. And I'm on Instagram at Dr. Flo's Place and the Dr. Flo, which is my personal Instagram. So connect with me, DM me with your questions, and let's thrive strategically
Wow,
together. Thank you.
love it. Danielle?
You can reach me at Girl Get Your Purpose on IG, Instagram. And I believe that my mission, my goal, my God given goal in life is to help women go from shameful to being able to tell their story and their testimony. So I am serving biblical principles using biblical tools. And I can't even talk. I'm so sorry. You have to forgive me. I'm so sorry. My mind just went completely blank.
It's okay.
Mm. Sorry about that. But yes, in just using scripture, because I feel like a lot of times we get away from scripture and we understand that everything we need is in the Bible. We can refer to the Bible about anything in life. And so everything is Bible based for me. So I'm helping you learn, understand the Bible, understand your journey, understand you have purpose, and then what steps needs to be taken so you can walk free in your purpose and be free in God and telling your story. So that is what I do in Girl Get Your Purpose.
I love it. So, one last thing, what would you say to inspire someone that is trying to find their purpose and they don't know what to do or what steps to take?
But I would say if you are looking to find your purpose and you're looking for steps to take, get in front of the mirror and be honest with yourself and know that you can go to God just as you are. Just like how we are speaking, you could speak to God the same kind of way. We get into a space where we think we have to say, "Oh, great thou art," and we have to have these big, elaborate prayers. He does not want that. He just wants you to come to Him as you are. You may not know what to say. Just start talking, and then you will find yourself getting the answers that you didn't even know you needed once you just open up and just be honest. One thing I did for me is when I said get in the mirror, I spoke everything that I said I would never speak. That stuff that I swore I would take to the grave with me, I said them out loud. And then once I said them out loud, I was able to be set free. So
Mhm.
anything that is hindering, that is holding you back, that you thought that you just could not say, get in front of the mirror and set yourself free and ask Jesus to help you with that journey. But just come as you are. Stop thinking you got to clean yourself up before you go to God. You can't do it. It's no way possible you can clean yourself up before you go to God. He's going to help you with all that. Just take the step. You do the possible and watch God do the impossible and blow your mind.
I love that. I love. What about you, Dr. Flo? What is your advice?
I would say I would encourage us to embrace ease. Um, it's it's our it's our birthright. Life is stressful, life is hard, and we shouldn't be afraid to embrace ease. Um, it's possible, and it just helps us in so many ways. And as the Bible says, his burden is light. It's still a burden. His yoke is easy, but his burden is light. Still a yoke, still a burden, but it's easy and it's light. Life, society, um, governments, and just so many things make it hard, make it stressful. But there is ease and there's rest, And one of the ways, there's so many ways, but what I know is using strategy and trusting God to guide us to bring more ease into every area, parenting, our business, our life, our relationships, and just to look for ease, look for an easier way to do it and embrace it. That's what I would say.
I love it. Well, thank you, Dr. Flo and Danielle, for joining me today on the Boss Woman Network Roundtable discussion. Um, we're going to get out of here. We're tuning out. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. Until next time, bye. Enjoy your
Bye.
day,
Thank
ladies.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.